Hi, guys, and welcome to the Quinn podcast. Here we give you a look through the eyes of the most successful athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and influencers on this planet. Be sure to check out all of the content at quinnpodcast.com. Enjoy the episode. What was life like before you started devotion? What was that like? Give me a bit of your backstory there.
Oh, a bit of my backstory. Yeah, life was, I was trying to figure myself out and what I really wanted to do with my life. I am third generation in the flavor industry, so I do come from a family that has business. My parents are entrepreneurs, and we do have a large family business that I always just assumed I was going to go into my family business. That was the path I was on. I wanted to work for them. I love and respect the business that my parents built from the ground up. They own, like I said, a flavor manufacturing company. They manufacture some of the biggest products in the world, where they make the beverages for some big brands, and they do everything from product development, R&D, and then they produce the product. And so to me, it was a no-brainer, like, go into the family business. But when I finally went into the business, I started jumping around to a lot of different areas of the business, which is how I learned about product manufacturing. The one thing my parents' business does not do is take a product to market. So they will produce a product right until it's actually in the can, ready to go. But my family does not do any of the marketing or to the consumer. So that was one area that my parents' company did not teach me. But I worked everywhere from the factory. I wore a monkey suit, like, one of those big jumpers with the mask. I was in the tea room. And when I say products, my parents are making things like finished beverage systems, iced teas, energy drinks, and big time products that people know, like the Arizona iced tea and
Oh, cool.
yeah, oh, Celsius, Alani Nu, Prime. Like, these are products that my parents' company will make for the brand and sell it to them, and they'll market it. So
Right.
it's not like a small mom and pop thing anymore. That's how it started, when I was 12 years old. But it's grown to where major players, major brands allow my parents' company to produce these products, or hire them to do that. And so I would bounce around. I worked in HR. I worked in bookkeeping. I worked in the lab. I would fill little sample bottles. I did all the things, and I never found like my real niche or passion. Then I finally went into sales, and I would go to the conventions, and I'd walk around the conventions with my dad, and I'd visit the brands, and my dad would tell me, hey, like, this is a great product, but he'd, say they're probably not even going to be here next year. They're probably going to run out of marketing money. And lo and behold, they did. And the next year, they'd be nowhere to be found. And my dad would say, we can make them the best product in the world, but if they can't market it, or they don't have enough money for staying power, the companies will come and go. And so that's a scary thing to hear. But also I was like, geez, like, the companies that do make it, they're the perfect storm. They have everything. Not only do they have a great product, but they've got this marketing power behind them, and people are loving it. And so that's kind of what ignited my passion for wanting to launch my own brand.
Hmm.
And also, I found a big void in the marketplace where I felt like there was nothing. When I created Devotion Nutrition, I found that there was nothing else out there like it at the time. And I was like, geez, if I need it, then that probably means millions and millions of other people need this product. So this could be a really good thing. And I kind of just jumped in with 2 feet when I did it. But that was kind of my journey getting there, was getting to see the production side and the manufacturing side. And then when I went into the sales, I would see the other companies now marketing their products. I'd see the companies marketing their brand, and I'd see what was working and what wasn't, and who was staying around and who wasn't. And then, I don't know, I kind of just jumped into my own thing.
And here we are.
Yeah, yeah. 10 years later.
Right. No, it's such a fine balance, right? Like you say, like, you want to have a great product, but at the same time, if you can't market it, that's such
Yeah.
a
Marketing,
thing.
the marketing part is so important, because there are probably fabulous products out there that just don't have the marketing strategy behind them. They don't have the story behind them. I had a story and I wasn't afraid to just get on social media and tell it and post and just be real. And I wanted to connect with other people who were feeling what I was feeling and going through. And then I invented this tool that I was like, this worked for me. These were the results, and I want to share this with you. And not every company has a front person that really can get into other people's like heads and hearts like that. And so sometimes when it's a great product, but it's just very cold marketing and there's no feeling behind it, it doesn't work. You really do have to capture your audience and really tell a story, in my opinion, for staying power.
And it goes for everything. It's like even in dating, like for me, like I'm 21 right now, so I'm like chasing girls, this and that. And the past like years, I've sort of locked myself up, like trying to become this person. But if you're not out there, you're not marketing yourself. You can be this great person, but
no one's gonna know. And,
right. It's funny.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like you can't be afraid to toot your own horn. You can't be afraid. Like, to me, I'm almost 45 now, and I've been doing my own brand for 10 years. And my story is being a mom and not being comfortable in my own skin and losing a lot of weight. And I don't, I show like a lot of my fitness photo shoots or myself in a bikini and all these things. And it feels weird. Like a lot of times I'm like, I have to come out of my comfort zone and do it because I have to show like, hey, these are my results. Like, I did not always look like this. And I was not always the comfortable mom in a bathing suit or the comfortable wife or woman or whatever. And you can't be afraid. It's not being cocky. It's being confident. It's being like, hey, I believe in what I'm doing. These are my results. This is me. And if you don't put yourself out there, no one's going to know. So you can't be afraid to market yourself, market your story, market how these products are helping you, because people, they're not really seeing my story. They're seeing themselves in my story.
Right.
And then they're being like, oh, she did it, I can do it. Or like, that's doable. Or she's got 3 kids, she gave birth to twins. Like, that's a crazy hustle. Like, if I could just do 50% of what she's doing, like, I could change my life. So that's how I've looked at it, where even though I'm like, oh, I'm 45 years old, do I really want to post another bikini picture? But it's like, yeah, like I want to show that I'm feeling good, I'm confident, I'm fit. And if I don't do it, no one's going to know. And then I can't help people with my products, which is what my real ultimate goal is, to help others. Yeah,
no, that's cool. What was the void that you saw? How would you describe that?
So the void I saw was that protein powders, because my bread and butter, my main superstar are my protein powders. And the void that I saw was that protein powders always had this, well, they were lacking things. You weren't able to bake with them. I mean, that is something that, so you're very limited to just making a shake. Protein powder in everybody's mind is just, oh, do you buy protein powder? Yeah, I drink shakes. And I was sick of drinking shakes. Like, when I finally got in shape and I knew that protein had to play a big role, I was drinking a whey isolate and I had to drink 3 shakes a day. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't think I can keep up with this. Like, I don't, for the rest of my life, to try to hit these protein goals, to try to build muscle and all those things. I was like, there's no way I'm drinking that. Like, I'm drinking a shake 3 times a day. Like, ugh. So then, I started experimenting with all these protein powders, and none of them could do anything other than a shake and do it well. Or I had to add 1 million ingredients to them. So that was a big void. And the other big void was that protein powders tasted disgusting. And they all had this like off dairy taste. They all left this aftertaste. They had this off smell to them. Like when I'd crack a tub, I'd be like, ugh. Like, it was like this, like, ugh. And even the best tasting ones at the time still tasted off. And I was like, how? It's like, yeah, I guess if you're doing a bodybuilding show, I guess if you're doing a real hardcore diet, you could do that for 12 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever your prep is, whatever your little diet plan is. But are you going to stick with that? Are you going to use it for the long term? Probably not. I mean, I don't know. It was hard for me to stay on that regimen. And so The void was that not many protein powders could really be incorporated into everyday life for mainstream people who just want to get in protein. They want to enjoy what they're eating. They don't want to always make shakes. And so developing Devotion to be the most versatile, delicious protein on the market. And I'm not saying there aren't other blends. Of course, there are other whey casein blends, but one that to really taste really good, to really mix up smooth and function like Devotion, it just didn't exist. And so I was like, this is what the world needs, because when I finally found success in my weight loss was when I was using my protein to make the waffles and the pancakes, when I wasn't drinking shakes every meal, when I was truly making a pudding, making ice cream, making protein fluff ice cream, and sitting in front of the TV at night with my big tub of protein ice cream rather than a Ben and Jerry's. That's a win,
Right.
like, so that's where I found the world needed a yummier way to eat protein.
That's cool. I like that. How does that go? Like you see something and then you're like, okay, what does R&D look like from the stage? You're like, okay, I see a void in the market, and then
Yeah.
bringing it to market. Like, what did it look like?
Well, first I needed to figure out what made some proteins better than others. What were the ingredients that people were using or that companies were using that made their protein great, and what were the ingredients that made the protein not great? What were the things I wanted to use and not use? Doing research behind each of my ingredients and deciding, how important each thing was. I mean, right down to the sweetener system. Some sweetener systems, taste better than others. Some flavors can be great, and then as soon as you apply the sweetener, the whole thing is like gross. I mean, when I launched my brand, I launched with sucralose and I launched with the stevia. And let me tell you, it was the same formula, same flavor. One used sucralose, one used stevia, and they did not even taste like the same protein powder from the same company. And they were the same flavors. And it's just like those things matter. And, I chose the ingredients that I felt at the levels that I felt that made my protein superior. I chose a whey isolate that was so high quality that it did, it was filtered down, and it filtered out a lot of the lactose, so people didn't have stomach issues. I remember just printing out labels from all the other companies, putting them on my mom's kitchen counter, and I would circle the ingredients of ones that I thought were great. I'd X out other ones. I knew that we needed a blend of whey isolate and a casein, but I needed to know, well, what was the percentage of the blend that would work? Whey isolate is very watery. You can put it with water and mix it forever. It's never going to become a pudding. Where casein is a protein that bodybuilders have used for years to make a thick pudding, and it's a slow releasing protein, and and you can eat, a lot of times bodybuilders would eat it at night to help, it's slow digesting, so it would help them stay satiated during the night, and it would stay with you a little longer. Whey isolate, when you drink a shake, you're hungry 10 minutes later, and then you're like, okay, now what? And when you're trying to get body fat off and be in a calorie deficit, I mean, to constantly be hungry is really difficult. So I had to come up with what was the percentage of isolate and casein. So, we tried 70-30 and so I ended up with an 80-20 blend that it was just enough casein to give it some body and thickness to stay with you for that slow digesting. But the whey isolate was 80% of it, which still you're then going to benefit from the fabulous, benefits of whey isolate, which people know that is just a fantastic source of protein. So that's what R&D looks like. And then as far as the formula, and then coming up with what are the flavors going to look like, and then masking that disgusting dairy taste. And that took us almost 2 years to really, and my parents' company, coming back to my parents' company, I knew if there was a company that could make Devotion taste different than all other protein powders and not have that dairy protein taste, it was going to be them. And I had their best chemists working on how can we make this taste like a milkshake rather than a protein shake.
Right, in that sense. Pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
it's fun to like understand like the backside of a business like that. Because so much goes into it, right? Like you say, like two years of research in that. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And it was R&D. The funny part is it's not just all in a lab. I mean, they would give me, then they would make up the samples for me. They'd give me a bunch of samples and I would take it back home. And I had three little kids. My twins were 2 years old. My son was like 5. And I would then go into my kitchen, fire up my waffle maker, fire up my skillet, I'd make a shake, I'd make pancakes, I'd make waffles, I'd give them to the kids to taste. My mom would come over, my friends would come over, and I'd be like, guys, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And that was really the R&D, where like just real people, my kids, all real people just eating like experimenting. And then I'd see like, can this really make a waffle? Is it too thick? Is it too dense? Does it make a pudding? Does it make ice cream? Does it hold its integrity long enough and not turn into like some slushy wet mess? Like that's why R&D takes a while too, because you really want to, you take it out of the lab and you bring it home as though you're a real customer using this product. And is it going to work? Is it going to function how you want it to function?
Using the kids as guinea pigs, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, if the kids love it, you can have a home run. The day I named my brownie batter, which is my chocolate, it was the day that one of my twins was licking the spatula. She had it all over her face, and she was eating like a brownie batter waffle. And I was like, oh my gosh, if a little toddler will eat this and think that it's a real chocolate something and not give me a face or like she's eating it and loving it. Oh, if a kid will do that and honestly love it, then you've got a home run, because they're the pickiest and they're the most honest.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. That's fun. More on like you as like an entrepreneur, like
Yeah.
taking that step. That's a pretty big one to like do it for yourself, start a company. Where do you think that like drive came from? That was from your parents, or how do you see that?
I mean, I've got to say probably from watching my parents, taking a big risk. I'd say some of it, ignorance was bliss. I had no
Sure.
idea what I was diving into, but I just went for it. I'm the type of person who, once I get an idea in my head, I don't, it wasn't that I didn't, it wasn't like I just like went for it 1, 2, 3, but I just kept moving in that direction of doing the things to launch a brand. And like once I had my product and it was amazing, and then once I had a name, and then once I had an idea, like one, and then it's like, okay, let's incorporate it, and it was like all of a sudden, the wheels were in motion. And when you start to go for something, and then you get to the point where you're like, okay, now I'm going to put my life savings into this, and now I'm going to get a website, and now I'm going to start, it's like, whoa. And then you hire somebody to do your branding and your packaging, and you look up co-packers. All of a sudden, it's like this runaway snowball that you're like, okay, I guess I'm in this. Like, okay. And it was like wild because, like I said, I had 3 little kids, which that for any mother out there, that's a lot. Like to have your little kids and then to launch a brand, which is like having a baby in itself. It needs it needs so much time and attention to really get going so it was like all of a sudden I'm like on this runaway freight train of like doing this brand, and you can't slow down because now you've invested. And I didn't invest a ton of money, but it was all the money that I had.
Sure.
And, and at the time I had a partner and it was all the money she had. And so it was like, well, I guess it's go time. It's go. And every day I actually woke up out of bed with so much excitement, so much passion for what I was doing. The products kept me excited because I love them and I truly use them every day myself, so that I couldn't wait to share. I couldn't wait to post my transformation and the fact that I was using this protein to help me. And so it just started rolling, and I'm like, I guess this is what I'm doing. And yeah, and it was just,
What was that like anxiety like at first? Like, was it scary or was it just exciting for you? Because that's different for everyone, for every entrepreneur.
it's a mixture. It's overwhelming because I jumped into the supplement industry, which is a male dominated industry. And the supplement industry is also with protein powders. It's very like a lot of the companies are very hardcore, and they were getting to all the bodybuilders, and they were the fitness people. Like, and this is 10 years ago when when social media was launching, and the people that were really on the forefront of talking about what they're eating, how they're training, it was the bodybuilders, it was the fitness girls, it was the competitors, it was the people who were really, they were the ones using the protein powders. And yet I'm up against, I'm just trying to get my stuff in the hands of people who were posting, people who were sharing. For the first time, like that was really, we were up against companies like Shreds back then, and they had like a huge influencer program, and it looked sexy, and their lifestyle was Vegas, and they're all like, it was, remember Paige Hathaway and all these like jack dudes, and they're all single, like young, no kids, that lifestyle. So everybody wanted to like use the hot, sexy products. And I'm trying to get into the hands of all of these people, and mine was like at the time, my business partner was also a mom, and we're like two moms doing a protein powder. We're not in Vegas partying, like we're home taking care of our kids, working out, trying to be fit. It wasn't exactly the sexy lifestyle that brands and, supplement companies were promoting. But I was like, okay, well, we're just gonna have to do our best and have people just send out tons of samples, tons of products, ask people to post, keep showing up with our transformation, photos and all the things. But like the main thing was just keep showing up. And we were small but mighty, like we were tiny. I mean, to this day, I don't have a huge team. I'm still the leader of like, I don't even think I have 20 people. And back then it was, like 4 of us or 3 of us,
right.
So yeah, small but mighty. That's,
that's good.
I just don't ever give up. I just push and push and show up and push and I'm in people's DMs, and I'm sending out a lot of free stuff for real reviews. That was the other thing. I refused to hire anybody famous. I refused to really pay influencers. I just wanted real, honest reviews. I was like, I don't have the money for it, number one, to pay anybody. And number two, I just want real people giving their real, their real feedback on the products and how they're using it. And so it caught on. And then I kind of like fell into the right hands. And the company then was able to sustain itself without any big investor money, without me having to ask my parents for help. We certainly didn't we weren't profiting, but we weren't really losing a ton of money. We were kind of just kept investing the money back into the brand, back into the brand, back into the brand. So that's how you build a brand. It was a long time before 7 years before I think I even saw a dime of profit.
What happened after those 7 years? Like what made it like catch on like that?
Well, we stuck in there and we kept fighting and fighting and fighting. I had bought out my business partner. I don't know if it was year 4 or 5. She wasn't in it for that long. I mean, she was in it for the chunk of the time, but once I got to kind of clean up what I didn't like about how they were doing their end of the business, I cleaned up a big mess, made a lot of changes, brought on some new people. And I finally marketed it the way I wanted to market. When you have a partner, you don't always see eye to eye and agree. And that's why partners don't always work out. Usually she lost her passion for it. And also we didn't agree marketing style, how to market this brand. I just had a different vision. So I was actually relieved when she said, that she wanted to either close down the business or me buy her out. I was relieved because I was like, well, let me do things my way now. So I bought her out. And I was like, let's freaking go. And I cleaned things up, and then TikTok was kind of started to grow. And my mom and a bunch of people had said to me, get on TikTok, and I was like, no, I can't be on another platform. Like, I've been doing Facebook and Instagram forever. Like I can't. And it felt very overwhelming. And finally, like kicking and screaming, but probably a couple years too late, I finally got on TikTok and I started watching other people's videos, and I would see a lot of people making protein ice creams and protein this and protein that and protein baked goods and protein, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, this is where devotion needs to be. All these people are making ice cream and baking and and they're all using protein, especially a lot of people in the weight loss, like the bariatric surgery, which we'd already been in, the bariatric area. So I just once again got into these people's DMs and I was like, hey, I see you're baking with protein. I see you're using some protein powders that probably are not going to function well. I'd love to send you mine and make your same recipes, but use Devotion and see what you think. And all of a sudden, one after another, like every influencer was like, sure, yeah, send me over some. Sure. They would get their Devotion, they would make the recipes that they were doing, and they would all be like, oh my gosh, you guys, this is the best ice cream. Oh my gosh, this is the best waffle. Oh my gosh, and it's made with Devotion. All of a sudden, it was like wildfire. Everybody wanted to use Devotion. People wanted to try it. People were having FOMO, like, holy cow, this person is saying it's amazing. Now I got to try it. And all of a sudden, the company absolutely blew up to another level. And when I say blew up, okay, no, I'm not where I want to be, where I didn't blow up to $1 billion company or anything like that. Meaning we blew up to where, we grew like 700%, where we were doing okay to where, holy cow, we've got, I had to turn the notification of orders off on my phone. Before I get like 100.
That's the goal, right? That's amazing.
Yeah, like I get 100 orders a day and it's buzzing on my phone and I'm like, oh, that's nice, I'm getting an order. To all of a sudden, over a weekend, we're getting 15,000 orders. And all of a sudden, I had one shipping guy. We're now going into a 10,000 square foot facility. He's hiring 7 full-time people. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, like people are loving this stuff. And like people are using it. And here I am, 7 years. I haven't given up. I've stayed afloat. I've stayed around. And it's like survival of the fittest right here, And so finally, TikTok was our tipping point where the word could spread with honest reviews, and it spread fast, and it just took us to another level.
That's crazy. I love that. Like a lot of guys my age listening to this, right? It's such a thing that I think my generation misses because it's all so quick, right? You see so much opportunity online and everything. Yep. But to be able to stick with something for 7 years when it's doing okay, but it's not like
I wasn't a dime. Like I was taking a little salary. I wasn't making much. But
who does that? Like, who sticks with something for 7 years? Like that.
And that's the thing. That's another reason why my business partner got out, was that they thought after 2-3 years we would blow up. We were going to be Quest Nutrition, or we were going to be acquired, and I'm like, guys, like we're planting seeds, and like we're nobody, and we don't have big investment money, and we're not, it's like they didn't understand where it's like, this is a grassroots style company, and it's going to be slow and steady, and not many people have the staying power to stay in it like that, or they understand that a lot of these overnight successes, companies have been around for 10 years before they blow up. These companies are around, and then it's like sometimes I'd see a company and I'd be like, man, they're killing it. And then I'd go see they came out of nowhere. And then I look up and I'm like, they were established in like 98. I'm like, oh my God, they've been it's survival of the fittest. And if you can, in the supplement industry, if you can get through, I think it's about the 3-year mark, then you've got some staying power. And that's not saying that you're going to blow up after 3 years as far as like making a profit, but it means, okay, you've got some legs, people are buying your stuff, but then you still have to push. So yeah, like I said, it was 7 years before we had our big boom, and it was finally a relief. And but you're not out of the woods yet, because even this year, I had a little bit of fallback, and you can't get off your game. You have to stay, because the industry is always changing. Marketing is always changing. The internet, all the stuff, and you can't get cocky. You can't get comfortable.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
Yeah.
On that marketing side, like, why do you think it works? Is it that authenticity from your personal brand, or how do you see that?
It's probably
because you have quite the like passionate following, like.
Yeah. My following is not huge. Like I've never on the social media side, like been able to blow up like some of these huge content creators. I just show up. I'm not trying to constantly entertain. I'm not making trending stuff all the time. Like if it's something I can hop on, but it's just me showing up like authentic me, talking to my following and showing like some behind the scenes and talking about my family. I mean, I've invited social media into my family and my world and my home for 10 years. They've seen my kids grow up, like people who are very loyal and have followed me. And so the loyal people have just loved the story. They love the product, and that's really helped. And then, I don't know. I think that I always lead by example. So I think that like sometimes I'll post on TikTok, and if something goes viral and then somebody else loves it, they'll be posting to their people, and it's just like a snowball effect. And so, I don't know. I think also it's these influencers see something in the brand that they love, and they just love the product. They love introducing the tool to their following. And so some people don't even know that I exist. Some people just love devotion and they've never even heard of me, but I just am doing my own thing, over here with the brand stuff. And then, I've got these people who have been posting loyally about the brand because they just love the products and they want to give their followers a tool. So I'm lucky in that sense that when somebody finds your stuff and then they're just so, obsessed with it that they are loyal and consistent, then, you've got a good thing.
What's been like the key with like influencer marketing? Because that seems like a big part of it.
Well, the key is finding people who really truly love your product and use your product. I've never been a fan of just paying someone to say that they love your product or to post about it, because I think people see through that. They see through that like, oh, you're not really using that, or do you really love it? And I think the key was that like my content creators or influencers love the product first and then posted for me second, posted about the brand second, like always the love for the product and like they would really get the packets into their hand or get the samples I'd send. They would really cook with it and be like, oh my gosh, or like really make an ice cream or really taste it and love it. And I think that then when you see the true authentic reaction come through, that's when they're convincing their following to give it a try. Because if it's too pushy and too fake, people see that.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's
yeah.
Funny. I read you described like devotion as like a movement. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How do you see that? How do you see the movement behind it? And like, what's the vision with that?
Okay, well, I remember before we launched, I had this like giant paper, like, it looked like those big post-it notes, and I was coming up with my vision board. And I wrote the word that I wanted my brand to be a movement because I wanted this to be about lifestyle. Forever, women and probably men, I mean, I speak on women because I'm a woman and I speak on my real struggle. We have yo-yo dieted and we've jumped around from diet to diet, from fad to fad. We get on a strict diet, we get off a strict diet. And so it's so rare that people actually lose the weight and keep it off. And the movement that I wanted was people shifting that mindset to lifestyle. Like, make this your lifestyle, where devotion is just part of your regimen and devotion is in your cabinet as a pantry staple, because this is just how you eat. Because when you make pancakes on Sunday morning for your family, you're reaching for devotion. You're not reaching for Bisquick. You know what I mean? And And that's what I wanted, this whole movement where people stop getting on and off a diet. They stay devoted to their healthy lifestyle. They stop saying it's a diet and they just make these healthy swaps. And when they make these healthy swaps, when they swap out regular ice cream for Devotion ice cream, and they swap out regular pancakes for Devotion and they do these things, all of a sudden they're like, I'm not really dieting, but I've added protein. I've cut out extra carbs and sugar and fats that like I was taking in that I really didn't need. Without having to count calories, without having to be on some restrictive diet, they make these swaps and it just becomes a lifestyle. And then when it becomes a lifestyle, it becomes easy. It becomes where you're like, this is just what I do. So for years, I had trouble kicking coffee creamers, and I would pour so much coffee creamer into my coffee. And I would get the drinks at Starbucks and I would do those things. And I didn't understand, like, why am I struggling with my weight? Why am I, it was like all the extras. It was all the extras because if you're eating a healthy diet and yet you're eating, say, your healthy stuff, you're having your 15 to 1800 calories a day and all your healthy food. Great. Like as a woman, great. But then you forget about the coffee creamer you're dumping in. You forget about the Starbucks that you grabbed. You forget about like some of the foods of your kids that you were kind of picking, or the cookies that, you baked and then you ate a few. You forget about all that. Well, then you're like, well, I can't lose weight and then you're like, well, you're actually going way over your daily calories. So no, you're never going to lose weight because we have to take calories into account. And so when I finally said, okay, now I'm making a Devotion coffee creamer and I'm going to cut out all those coffee creamers and I'm going to stop going to Starbucks and I'm going to make my own delicious protein coffee at home. And so I'm cutting out the sugar and I'm going to start to bake, with protein, and I'm going to cut out the sugar there. And at night, instead of being in the pantry looking for snacks or eating a bowl of ice cream and trying to portion it out and blah, 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 I'm going to just make a Devotion pudding, or I'm going to make an ice cream, or all of a sudden, like, life changes because you're not struggling. You're still loving everything that you're drinking. And it's still fun to make your protein coffee and it's delicious. And it's still fun to make your ice cream at night. And then you don't feel deprived. And then you can stay on your diet or plan. And all of a sudden, the extra weight that you've been trying to lose, whether it's 10, 15, 20, 50 pounds, is not so hard to get off because you've just replaced all those things. And that's a whole movement. That's a whole lifestyle. It's a whole way of thinking. It's a way that people can stop saying, I'm on a diet. I'm on a diet. Oh, I'm on a diet. And then you feel like things are off limits. When you have Devotion, they're not off limits. You're just making them in a different way.
That's good. That's passionate. I like it. No, I love that. That's good.
For sure.
We can clip that. I love that.
Yeah.
Leslie, on your team building, because that's big. Like for like an underdog company, what do you look for, like in the people you hire for a team?
Oh my God, I look for superstars. I don't have room for any weak links. I have people who are all multi-talented. They don't just have one job, and they don't ever say that's not my job. I mean, we have to work together to pick up. If you're in a small team trying to grow a big business, not every single aspect is going to be covered, but you need team members who are focused on what they're supposed to do, but also they're flexible to be able to be a team player and chip in and help and be flexible and go with it. And I mean, as an entrepreneur, there isn't one hat I'm not willing to wear. Now, obviously, like, just because I'm an entrepreneur doesn't mean that I know how to do everything. I'm not an expert in every area. So then when I do hire somebody, I want them to not only have impeccable work ethic, because I'm not here to babysit. I don't have time for that. I need to be running my life as a mom of 3 teenagers now. I need to know that everyone who I have on is pulling their weight, getting their work done. I'm not cracking the whip on anyone because I know that they're getting their stuff done. I don't have to babysit them. I don't have to check in. I don't have to say, oh, I'm going to need you to clock it in now. I don't have to. As long as they're getting their stuff done, as long as they're doing the top-notch job that I expect and the quality that I expect, they're on my team. And, I try to never let them down. I don't want to speak for them, but geez, if they need me, I'm there. If the shipping team needs help, I'm there at the shipping department. If we, every marketing call, every whatever area, social media, we're picking up the slack, we're helping each other. We're a team player, but everyone's also really good at what they do. And they're not afraid to ask for help if there is something that they're unsure of. But man, my team is solid. And again, 10 years in, we're still small, but we're mighty.
That's cool. You mentioned the mother of three. That's like fun. Like my mom, she works like 80-hour weeks on her company, and she's been doing that for as long as I live. So that's I know it's like. What do you like trying to teach them? Well, like what do you like hope they see in how you approach building your company and the leadership values and everything?
Well, raising kids in this generation has been brutal. My kids, I can speak for my kids. I love my kids to death. They don't have the work ethic that I wish they had. But then again, I'm not going to sell them short because they've been watching me and I don't know what they're going to be capable of. They live in a very cushy situation because of my parents' company, what I've been blessed with. Now my company's been doing well and they see the success and they're excited for me. Now they were probably little and when they were little, they probably didn't understand the hustle that I was doing. And like now they see it, later and they still see me hustle like hell. I'm working like crazy, but to build a company from ground zero, they were still very little, like I said, like 3 years old and 5 years old. And so, they didn't understand what they were seeing back then, but they have a respect for it. I mean, when we talk, like my son will say, Mom works her ass off. Like he'll say stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, so you do see that. Now, does he have that work your ass off grind yet? No. But will he know what to do when the time comes, when it's time for him to work his ass off? I sure hope so. I don't know, this generation with the social media and the phones and the technology and trying to raise kids, it's been difficult. I can't say, like, I was a hard worker growing up, but I can't say that I was always like grinding hard as a kid either. As a kid, like, I saw my parents, but like, was I always busting my butt? Maybe not. I mean, I enjoyed being a kid and I enjoyed just my summers going to camp and I enjoyed the times that I could kind of just like chill at home watching TV. So was it something that I then finally like grew a fire for and then I wanted more and then I wanted to like kind of prove myself? I think that came with my maturity and with then me finally saying like, you know what, like I'm going to do something on my own. So I don't get worried about my kids because I'm like, I don't know that I was there when I was their age either. My girls are 13 and my son is 16 and he's been struggling. My son's been struggling. And, but yet I see glimmers of entrepreneur in him. He sells sneakers, he sells bikes, he's flipping this and that. There's a side of me that's like, all right, like I see it coming. And my girls work really hard at their schoolwork and they try out for every sports team and they take things serious, even if they're not the best athletes. But I'm like, all right, you know what? All this struggle, the fact that they're not making the team, the fact that my son had a really rough year this year. I'm like, maybe all this failure is going to plant that fire in your guys' belly too, because let me tell you, I wasn't the best athlete and I wasn't the best student and I wasn't the best of anything. I mean, I don't think I've won first place in anything. Every figure competition I did, I always came in second place or fifth place. So I think that that's awesome. I think failing is amazing because it planted that in my belly of like, I gotta win. Like I want to, like I already, you know? So that's why I stuck in my business. I'm like, this business will not fail. It's like
Yeah.
all means necessary. So I like the fact that my kids fail and then they do have some successes and then they feel how that feels to like have a success. And I think that that's really healthy.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was probably for me at 16 too. Like before that, I was just a kid. I was just doing my thing. And then at 16, I started like taking sports serious. And now that I'm in law school and stuff, like I've seen the 80 to 100-hour weeks my parents work. So it's like normal to me now. It's not like it scares me. So now I know I've seen like the example. So it's sort of,
Right. And that's my
yeah,
parents were leading by example. They were working
right.
hard, and I have such a respect for their business. The lifestyle that my family now gets to lead because of their hustle. I mean, they built their company again from nothing. And there's such a respect as you get older. Like I start to really appreciate it when you have to start buying your own things and then you see the price of things and then you're like, oh, it's really hard to make money. It's like all of a sudden as a kid, you just take it for granted. I'm like, Mom, can you get me this? Can you buy me that? Like, you don't really understand like how much work your parents had to put in to actually do, be able to do the stuff that they do for you. And then all of a sudden it starts having more meaning. And so with kids, it's like I can't even be mad at them because they're born into a situation, they get what they get, and what I'm supposed to be mad that they don't understand the value of a dollar when they haven't really been put in that situation yet. But they will, they will. They'll get there.
Yeah, I'm sure. With like the example they have, I'm sure. Yeah. That's fine. Leslie, what's the long-term vision? Like say 10, 20 years down the road, where's Devotion going and you as an entrepreneur going? What's the long-term play?
For me as an entrepreneur, I mean, I think I have it in me to do this, maybe another 10 years or something. I mean, ultimately, I'd love to grow Devotion to be able to sell it when I've just had enough, or if my kids love it and they're passionate about it, then great. Like kind of like my parents. I mean, I'm my parents' customer now, and I'm still involved in their company whenever I can be and whatever. So, I mean, I don't have a definite plan because I'm still so in the trenches of building my dream, and I still have so much that I want to do and so much work to be done. And so I still have the passion, I still have the energy and the drive to grow Devotion. My long term would be that I would love Devotion to be more of a household name. I want more people using it and loving it. And then I'll kind of like take each opportunity as they come. I always wanted big companies to approach me. And then when they finally did, I wasn't ready for that. Like I was like, actually, like I turned a lot of big distributors away. I turned GM away. I turned Vitamin Shop away. All of a sudden, it's like I always dreamed of, I want all these places to want me. And then when they finally did, I was like, no, this isn't fit yet. So I was like, I'm enjoying like slow and steady. I'm enjoying being a boutique product. I'm enjoying being able to still like control my beautiful little company the way that I want to, and not becoming a slave to all the, crazy margins and slotting fees and shelf space battles and all the, I'm like, nah, I'm not interested in that stuff. Like, I'm just going to do this my way. I'm going to keep growing it my way. And when I'm ready for the next phase, I'll be ready, but I'm not there yet. So,
yeah,
exciting
though.
Yeah, so exciting. We have a new flavor launching this month. I've got other products in R&D that I'm working on. Our 10-year anniversary of the initial launch is coming up in October, and it's fun. And so basically when it stops being fun is when I'll know, okay, I've had enough. But I'm passionate and I love my brand, so I'm not ready to make any definite plans yet. But in 10 years, I definitely see Devotion in a much different place.
Thanks for listening to the Quinn podcast. If you enjoyed it, you can go to quinnpodcast.com to check out all of the previous episodes. quinnpodcast.com.